Hey guys, it's Archie Luxury Channel, and I've had a few people who wanted to know more about my good friend Sid. Sid is the guy who just is so hard to deal with, so I thought I would relate a Sid story. So this is when Sid has just stood me up about half a dozen times, and another friend of mine, Dave, we said, right, let's just see, we'll do absolutely everything to make this deal happen, and let's just see how it's impossible for the deal to happen. So basically, Sydney had a 42mm Rolex Polar Explorer 2. That's the latest model, the current model, the 42mm Polar Explorer 2. Now, Sydney decided he wanted out of it. For whatever reason, he wanted out. And I told him I was selling a PAM submersible. The PAM number, the Panerai PAM number was a PAM 24. Okay, so it's a PAM submersible, PAM 24. And it's part of the submersible series, a 300-meter diver. So anyhow, these retail for about a bit over the 10,000 Australian dollar mark. I had bought mine from Dave. Dave actually paid 6,500 from a Melbourne dealer. Watch time. Oh no, he got it from another store, another dealer in Melbourne. Chris Galea. He got it from Chris Galea. And 6,500 Aussie dollars. Okay, fair enough. Not a problem. And okay, I said to Sid, I said, look, your Explorer 2. I said, no worries there. I'll give you the PAM plus 2,000 smackaroonies. 2,000 smackaroonies. Yep. Okay, done deal. And we agreed to meet for lunch, and I was going to bring the PAM, and Sydney was going to bring the Explorer, and we were going to do a swap, and I would basically give Sydney the PAM 24 plus the cash, and Sydney was going to give me the Polar Explorer 2 box and papers, and I had box and papers for my PAM. The night before we were to meet, he texts me and says, I got a bit of a problem. I actually don't have possession of the Explorer 2. It's with a dealer friend of mine who is now refusing to give it back. He's refusing to give it back because before I went to Russia to see the World Cup, I actually gave him the Explorer 2, and he gave me a left-hand PAM as security. And because I'm such a dick, I decided to wear this PAM all through Russia for 6 weeks. Now, when I've asked him for my Explorer back, he's sort of saying, hey, it doesn't work like that. And he's not actually giving me back. He's not giving me the Explorer 2 back. And I said, okay. So I just knew this whole deal, you can try and be as fair as you want with Sid, and the deal just will not happen. It's just not possible. And I thought, well, I'll meet anyhow for to have lunch. And I shot a bit of video, so it's a bit of cannon fodder for my channel, bit of fodder for the channel. I go to lunch, and there was no Explorer. I could see his PAM. He had his left-hand PAM, and I said, well, here's my submersible 24, PAM 24, and he liked it a lot, and he's sort of humming and hawing, and he says, oh, can you give me a week to think about it? And I said, Sydney, you make a decision now. I'm not going to be left in limbo. You either want to do the deal or you don't want to do the deal. You can't leave it in limbo. It doesn't work like that. You either want to do a swap, which is what you agreed to yesterday, or you don't want to do a swap. And if you don't want to do a swap, that's quite okay. But if you do want to do a swap, you can't just keep leading me on and 80% there, 70, because when he looked at my Patek in a previous deal, he was 80% there. 80%? What the hell is 80%, Sid? I mean, I thought we already agreed to a price. We were just checking to make sure it was in the condition I told you it was, and you were going to organize banknotes. But obviously, your definition of a deal done is very different to my definition. See, when I say deal done, I thought the deal was done. But obviously, with your culture, it just means that's round one of negotiating. Now let's go into round 2 and round 3. And I just don't have the time to waste, Sydney. I do not have the time to waste. So this deal with Sydney, there is absolutely no way in the world you can do any deals with Sydney. And another case in point. Okay, so I made this video the other day complaining about Sydney, telling him what a bastard he was. And someone's come back to me and said, hey, if Sydney wants to sell the blue dial Patek, I might be interested. Now, this guy's also a bit of a jerk, I must be honest with you. The guy at my end is also a jerk, because I immediately said, hey, if you want me to negotiate a deal, you need to give me a small donation, because I know what Sydney's like, and hey, I'm going to be wasting my time. Anyhow, I decided we went backwards and forwards a bit. No, my guy didn't actually pay me a cent. He's a bit of a stingy fuck, but that's another story. And I went to Sydney and said, hey, what do you want for it? This guy firstly came out about 6,000. Sydney tells me 6,000 US. Sydney tells me he wants 12,000 because he paid 11,000. Sorry, he paid 10.5 for it. He said he got a strap, which was about $500, and Sydney wore the watch when it was raining one day, and it got a bit fogged up, so he had to get that cleaned out, and it cost $1,000 for the service. And I said, Sydney, if you were stupid enough to wear the thing in the rain, that doesn't mean you can just add on $1,000 and it's suddenly worth that. That's your own stupidity. That's your own foolishness. That's your own problem. Doesn't make you this watch suddenly $1,000 more because you had to clean out the water. I said, if you hadn't have got that cleaned out from the humidity and the water inside there, your watch would be practically worthless. But Sydney's never wrong. He can't be wrong. He's born to rule attitude. And this is exactly how it is. So Sydney's come back and said to me he needs 12,000 Aussie for a 33 mil Patek, which I think is way overpriced. I think it's probably worth 10 Aussie. I don't even like it personally. I don't even like it. But anyhow, that's just how impossible it is. And I said to my guy, if you want me to act a bit of banter between you and the seller, I will need a small donation. So I must admit, Jack at my end, he's also a bit of a jerk as well. And Sydney, of course, he wants the impossible. So this is why you just can't deal with Sid. And I'm going to be honest with you. It was Sid. I thought it's Sydney, like the English name, but no, it's actually an Indian name. Sid is his nickname. So, it's that's a little bit misleading as well. But Sydney, I do love Sydney. I do love our good friend Sydney, but I can never ever positively 150 million% ever do a deal with our friend Sydney.
I'm only signing it because it costs nothing. So this is the congratulations to everybody.
Guys, it's really dishonest to jump into bed with garbage. It's really dishonest. It's really dishonest. I mean, I've been approached hundreds of times by shitter brands. I said no. I said no. No shitters. No shitters. So just remember that when you're picking your YouTube gurus, don't always go for the one who everything's wonderful, everything's great, because it ain't the case. It ain't all fucking wonderful. Oh, and don't forget, fuckaroonies, like, subscribe, and tell your fuckhead friends. And don't forget to mention the Archie Luxury Travel channel. That's where I'm doing live shows, fuckers.